All right, we are live. So it is Kitty Shambliss here of Loving Without Boundaries. I am here with the amazing Coach B for another streaming video that we hope is in service to you, our amazing and beautiful community. Speaking of community, if you are seeking some like-minded people that you want to rub shoulder to shoulders with, you can find us on Facebook. If you do a search for Loving Without Boundaries, Healthy Open Relationships and Lifestyle Freedom, you can click join. There'll just be a very short 3-question little application for you to fill out so that you understand a little bit more about our community and what it takes to stay a part of it. And you can also, if you're looking for podcasts, we also have our award-winning podcast called Loving Without Boundaries. You can find that on our website, livingwithoutboundaries.com. And also, just to let you know that we have been awarded as a nomination for the Women in Podcasting. So the voting for that, whoever you want to vote for, whether it's Loving Without Boundaries or another podcast, you can vote in every single category, whatever is your personal desire and who you want to support. So with that, we have a beautiful topic here, optimizing your self-care. And with that, I would like to give the mic over to Coach B to get us started on this topic.
Thanks, Kitty. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. So why I thought that it could be really important to talk about this particular topic, because sometimes being in consensual non-monogamy can put huge demands on us emotionally, mentally, logistically. And I so often see that phenomenon that really well-intended people doing their very, very best in the lifestyle. They really want to create relationship health and fulfillment, and they're full of consideration. They put all their effort and energy into creating the very best outcome in their relationship. But for some reason, and that can be very individual reason, they often miss out on this particular step to really building a sustainable self-care toolkit so that they can make the most of their relationship experience. So the self-care seems to be a struggle that often appears in consensual non-monogamous relationships. And there are some accompanying beliefs as well that I pinpointed that can play a factor in this. Maybe some of you are familiar with that self-care is selfish. Like that's the most frequent one that I heard so far, or putting my needs first is selfish, or I should be perfect for my partners. I shouldn't have any needs, or I don't deserve self-care, or I have other more important responsibilities than to look after myself. And I would like to give you a reframe. Instead of like self-care is selfish, self-care is actually an act of love. It's an act of love for yourself and also for your loved ones, for your partners, for your metamours, for your friends, whoever is that is close to you. Because if you look after yourself, if you build this really important foundation, emotional, spiritual, physical, self-care, whatever keeps nourishing you, you feel better and you gift your loved ones with the best version of you. And what amazing gift is that? So that's the reframe that I wanted to give you, that it's not selfish, it is an act of self-love and love of the other if you keep nourishing yourself. And I also want to touch on something before we dive deeper, because sometimes it seems to be a definition misunderstanding, like what self-care might be. So of course it includes wellness days, massages, going for the occasional walk, but especially when it comes to consensual non-monogamy, when we navigate complex relational dynamics on an ongoing basis, what self-care also includes is building a skill set that supports your goals and well-being, the goals that you want to achieve in your life and for your relationships. So this can be emotional regulation skill set, building the skill set of asking really great, empowering, solution-oriented questions. It can be building the skill set to identify your limiting beliefs and to turn them into empowering beliefs, healthy boundary setting skill set and how to show up for your own boundaries and how to respect the boundaries of others, communication skills. And that type of self-care also includes identifying where you need support and reach out for support. So I really wanted to extend the definition of self-care because these are all really important foundations for you to get the most out of your concession monogamous experience. And with that, I want to hand the mic over to you, Kiri.
Thank you, B. I really, truly love this topic. And many of you, and especially you know, B, that I like to choose a word of the year. I talk about this in my newsletter to focus on that can help me just if I'm having trouble making a decision, I can think about what is one of my goals for the year. And that can help me narrow down a way to navigate any type of situation. And the word I did choose for 2025 is self-care. And I love this topic because it's so incredibly important as an entrepreneur, as somebody who's in a caring profession. We can sometimes care so much about our work or the way we're showing up for other people that we can end up burning ourselves out by potentially putting our own needs on the back burner as we're there to serve other people, whether that's in the work that we do or also as we've been talking about in our consensually non-monogamous relationships, as we're building modern, untraditional families. And I love this metaphor that many of you, I'm sure, have heard, but it's worth repeating, which is when we go on an airplane, we're always taught at the beginning that in order to, before we help other people, we need to put our own oxygen mask on first. We need to take care of ourselves first because we're not able to help anybody else if we've just passed out on the floor, So we need to look after ourselves so that we can show up for other people in our lives, our loved ones, from a full cup instead of attempting to be there for our loved ones serving from an empty cup. Because if we're serving from an empty cup, we might be speaking from anger or from a really frustrated state when we are not in a problem solving or solution oriented mode. When we're burnt out, we might be looking for what's going wrong. Where are we feeling like a victim? Where are we feeling like life is happening to us? Partly because we haven't shown up for ourselves and really gotten to a place where we are asking ourselves, what is it that I'm needing right now? Am I needing to take a nap? Am I needing to eat breakfast because I forgot to eat? Am I needing to have a vulnerable conversation that maybe I should prepare some notes for so that I'm not just shooting from the cuff? I'm speaking from a place of respect and compassion, so asking some really great questions can help get you out of being in survival mode and really get you in a place where you are able to thrive in your life and knowing that you know how to take care of you first, which can also increase your confidence. It can increase your sense of empowerment, remembering that you are the creator of your own life. So I just wanted to touch on that. And I can also say, this word has really been helping me out this year because I've made doctor's appointments that I had been neglecting. I've really removed myself in some ways from relationships that were no longer serving me after I was feeling really burnt out from trying everything I could possibly think of to make different relationships work. So this word can really ripple out into so many different areas of your life in a positive, beautiful, amazing way that I'm grateful for everything that's about to come in my life by the work that I'm doing now, because it can really erode different important elements of healthy relationships by not taking care of yourself. So I'll go ahead and give the mic back over to you, Coach B.
I really appreciate everything that you shared, Kiri, and including the empowering question as well, like what is it that I'm needing right now? Super important question. This is one of the ways that we can elevate our emotional state and move ourselves into a solution-oriented mode. And I want to stack on that with a few more questions. This is one of my favorites, that what would love do? Love for myself in the moment and love for others as well, like remembering love. That's the foundational pieces of relationships that we're in. The other question could be, what would make the biggest difference for me right now, or what would make the biggest difference that could shift 10 different things in my life moving me closer to my goals. So what could help me move closer to my goals? So these are a few empowering questions. And I also wanted to touch on the empty cup, or sometimes you talk about having a cup full of hot coffee. So it really matters
Oh
what's
yeah.
a cup, like what's going to spill over into our relationship, whether it's abundance and love and contentment and balance and feeling grounded, or what's going to spill over is the volcano that most of the time it's ready to erupt. So
Mhm.
no one is right or wrong here. It's just simply if it happens frequently that there are like these big emotional emergencies, big insecurity meltdowns, drowning, sinking, suffocating, or jealousy that goes into reactivity, maybe controlling behaviors as well. Those type of emotional emergencies can be really corrosive on relationships as well. So not just to us as individuals, because we feel really unwell, but we keep spilling that over into our relationships as well. So in itself, if you're feeling unresourced, then you're probably going to show up verbally and non-verbally from that place as well. Even if you don't intend to, even with your best intentions, your nervous system is in a threat response, and it's going to signal threat response to another person's nervous system. So if you hold your body like this, so that non-verbal communication, or you're leaning backwards or turning away because you're in an emotional emergency, that's gonna likely create defensiveness in the other person. So even just those subtle cues can create some negative ripple effects. And of course, if there are these big emotional emergencies, blow-ups, that can lead to conflicts and field of battle interactions, communication breakdowns, as what you're left with is trying to survive the mess instead of moving forward in the relationship. So that's one of the reasons why it's super important to create a skill set that sustains you, and to keep that adapting to your circumstances. So keep experimenting, keep exploring, and keep creating your own success combination, so
Mhm.
that there's going to be less and less occurrences for these big emotional emergencies and meltdowns.
Mhm. Thank you for sharing that so eloquently and articulately, B. And I hear this all the time when I'm talking with current clients or folks that are reaching out for help. Is they'll sometimes say emotional emergencies, but sometimes they'll also call it a crisis. You know, we've had another crisis, or we keep having these crises. And a lot of times people come to me when they're on the verge of divorce, and they might call that, we just had a nuclear bomb happen. You know, they'll use like explosive language, literally explosive language. And in many ways that can be a sign of, like you were saying, like that they're not properly learning how to take care of themselves. And sometimes that comes back to learning how to have healthy boundaries, because having healthy boundaries is also a form of self-care that we need to empower ourselves to realize is our work to do from a place of personal responsibility. What am I not willing to tolerate any longer? Where are my own limits? Where am I not giving myself permission to maybe say, no, I'm not available to do that right now? You know, that's also another really important form of self-care. And a lot of times we work with our clients too to help them understand that life isn't happening to them, life is happening for them. They are the creator of their own lives, and we help them to build empowering beliefs around self-care. Like B had said earlier, to know that if we're calling ourselves selfish, we invite them to try flipping out the word selfish for self-care and see if that's really where you're coming from, because you can learn to have empowering beliefs, remembering that your needs matter, they're important, and it's your job, it's your responsibility to take care of your physical human suit, sometimes we call it that, and to take care of your emotional and mental health, and to then be the best version of you, so that you're not unintentionally damaging your connection with other people. Because sometimes we can do that if we're not properly taking care of ourselves. We can kind of accidentally, kind of metaphorically, slap other people around in our lives because we're feeling burned out or we don't have enough resources. So know that that's really important too. And before we start to wrap it up, B, is there anything else that you'd like to share here in any of these elements?
Yeah, I would like to stack on with what you shared, that the proper self-care toolkit, that you look after your beautiful self, also helps creating a sense of internal power and a sense of internal control. It's super easy to feel lost, out of control, not having any agency. I feel like a victim, like Kiri, that you talked about, that this is happening to me. But once we start really looking after ourselves, like how can I meet my needs? What might be the best ways? What might be the most constructive ways for this that are supportive of my own well-being, support the well-being of my relationships? What we keep doing is we teaching ourselves that we can start trusting ourselves. So it creates an internal sense of confidence, and that's you probably know in this lifestyle that it keeps coming up in conversations: jealousy, insecurity, self-worth issues. I don't trust myself. I'm full of fear. Now, the proper self-care routine, that you taking care of your own human, starts building back that self-worth, that self-value, the self-compassion, the trust, and the confidence. And from that place, it's so much easier to handle the complexities of consensual non-monogamy as well, because if you start trusting yourself, you can be more trusting of your abilities to handle some challenges, and you can be more trusting of other people as well. Like, you start seeing their intentions in a more positive light. Like, it's going to be easier to assume goodwill from your partners and your metamours and anyone in your dynamic.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah. And there's a definition of trust, the trust triangle, that I've recently come to know. And one is empathy. You know, do I think that you really care about me? But we can also turn it around to ourselves. Am I demonstrating that I care about myself with self-care? And then good judgment. Do I think that you make good decisions? And same thing, like, do I think you're making good decisions, like taking care of yourself, or are you burning yourself out? And same, we can turn that back on ourselves. And then lastly, honesty. Can I be myself with you? And are you really showing me the real you? And I love that interesting definition of trust, and then turning it and looking at it through the lens of self-care, which I think is really beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So with that, if anyone is needing support in this area and you are wanting to possibly work with a coach or wanting to learn how to practice more self-care, because also hiring a professional or a mentor or a guide is a form of self-care. You know, a lot of times we'll spend money on cars sometimes we can't afford, and expensive couches and vacations, but sometimes folks won't spend and invest on themselves, right? So that's important to realize, that you are your best investment. Your skill set is your best investment. I really believe in that. So if you are looking to work with a professional to get some help, that's what we do every day and eat for breakfast. And we absolutely love being in a helping profession as certified coaches. You can go to the link that is on the screen, lovingwithoutboundaries.com/apply. That'll take you into my calendar. Just find a time that works for you. And there'll be a short, brief intake form for you to fill out that just gives me a little bit of context for a conversation. And then on that call, we'll simply have an honest, vulnerable conversation so that I can get a sense of where you are and what you're struggling with. See if I think that by working together, that I and my team alongside B can help you. And if the timing isn't right or we're not a fit, you have my word that I will let you know that, and I will do my best to steer you in the best direction for you so that you do get the help that you need. So again, that's lovingwithoutboundaries.com/apply if you'd like to have a conversation and see what that looks like. Anything else you'd like to add, B?
Yeah, a few questions, self-reflecting questions to help build that self-care toolkit. So in addition to the what, of course, that's always an important part of the equation, like what would help me? What is it that I want to do? What is it that I like to do to nourish myself? The why is also important, to connect it to a why. So this question is about that. What would a more refined self-care toolkit bring to your life? What would it give you? What type of experiences? And what would that mean to you if you had those experiences? Question number 2, what empowering beliefs around self-care would most support your well-being. So we talked about that limiting belief often comes up that self-care is selfish. So what empowering belief could help you instead to feel great about your self-care routine? And question number 3 is, what is one thing that you need to start, stop, or keep doing to strengthen your self-care routine?
Beautiful questions, B. Thank you for this topic, for your heart, and just the caring that you bring to our community. So again, if you are seeking community, feel free to find us on our private Facebook group. No one can see that you're in there once you're in our group. It's on Facebook, Loving Without Boundaries, Healthy Open Relationships and Lifestyle Freedom. And again, you can follow our podcast, Living Without Boundaries. I also have a book. If you haven't seen that, it's called Jealousy Survival Guide, How to Feel Safe, Happy, and Secure in an Open Relationship. So know that we are here for you. We really care about your well-being, the whole person, your mental, emotional, physical health, and the health of your most cherished relationships. And it is our deep honor to be able to serve this community, especially now when the world can feel a little crazy sometimes. So with that, we'll say goodbye for now and see you on our next live. Bye-bye.